I think it's no secret that everyone these days wants to build AI applications, right? It doesn't, I mean, if you can go to AppSumo and everything today is filled up with AI apps, or, you know, even the big corporations these days, it's like everything that they're launching has to do with AI. What's with the fever? Why is AI such a hot topic today?
Hey, you know the tech world, it's always a fever about something. So, you know, it used to be a fever about blockchain, and then before that it was a fever about, every seems like every 2 weeks we get a new fever. And right now we're definitely, you know, in the pandemic of AI.
That is so true. Like 6, 7, probably 8 years ago, it was the blockchain mania, right? What are those days over?
You know, I think though that the best part of all of these ups and down cycles is actually after the fever has passed and when you can actually start making something out of it, and it actually either flies or it dies. And sometimes they die and sometimes they fly. I think it's pretty much clear now that blockchain hasn't died, but it still hasn't really flown.
And now, if we go back to that analogy of having a wave, you're saying we're at the very top of the AI wave right now.
Well, I don't know if we're at the top. I mean, this could keep going up for a while.
If we're not at the top, what does the top look like?
Mania, you know, it's just like full-blown batshit crazy. But, you know, there's a good part of this, and we can joke about it, but it is true that innovation comes from, you know, all of this feverish activity. I mean, the more people doing stuff, the more chances there are that somebody's going to do something really awesome. And yeah, there are people that are specialists at building and hyping these waves, and there's no doubt that a lot of that has gone on. And you can look at the people that are backing OpenAI or Claude or any of these. They have a vested interest in making these waves as big and as high as they can possibly make them. But then the truth comes out that, you know, hey, if the technology is solid and if there really is a benefit, then it's great. And if it's not, then it just kind of fizzles and goes away.
Do you think the AI fever that we're going through right now is justified? Is AI really that, like I was actually talking to Syed Malki not too long ago, and he was saying, man, this is electricity type of innovation, internet type of innovation. This is that freaking big.
Well, you know, every one of these waves is that freaking big.
That's true.
Until it's not.
But
I do think there is a lot of meaningful possibility behind AI. There really is. It can be awesome. And it is going to be a fundamental change of a lot of stuff. Some of it good, some of it bad, some of it regular.
Does the bad scare you or concern you?
I mean, the bad always scares everybody. I mean, there's so much. It's not good. You know, there's so many other bad things that scare me probably more. Right now, having the world taken over by a AI superintelligence might actually be the best thing that could happen to us.
Fair point. So now it's interesting because we here at Ratio take a completely different approach than what you're typically seeing out there in the internet world. A lot of people are saying, oh my God, look at this AI tool. It's actually doing the programming for me. But we are saying, hey, maybe AI coding is actually not the best path forward.
I think that is part of the wave that is more unsubstantiated. The truth is that all of these AI coding stuff, they're getting really good at creating a first draft program application of whatever it is you want to build. But there's a danger behind it. Is it sustainable? Can you...
What does that mean? Is it sustainable?
Well, you don't build... If you're just building an application that you want to launch and monetize briefly and then let it die away, that's fine. Probably AI can build that for you. But the reality is that if you're trying to build a business, you need to be able to maintain it, you need to be able to pivot, you need to be able to make changes. And one of the big dangers right now with these AI coding tools is that even the people that are using them don't end up understanding the code. And that means that when you come back and you need to make a fundamental change, Well, you can go and ask AI, will you change it and make it do something different? And it probably will, but will it work?
It's the perfect metaphor of building Frankensteins.
Yeah, you end up with all of these parts kind of hung together in a haphazard
And you don't even know how to
way,
fix
and
them.
you don't know how to fix them, and you don't know how to make them better, and you don't know how to add
You've
features.
created something that might have life in it, but you don't really know how it works or...
And it's certainly not going to win a beauty contest.
And it's not going to... Yeah, right. So is the solution to just ask big corporations like OpenAI for more help, for more better, models, for better language models? Is the ultimate path forward to just expect AI to get better?
Well, I mean, obviously AI will get better. There's no doubt about that. But look at when we started off this conversation talking about that wave and all the hype and the kind of the FOMO and this sort of pandemic of feverish belief, if you look at it from an outsider sort of point of view, everybody's talking about OpenAI. They're talking about deep AI. They're talking about Google Gemini.
Yeah.
They're talking about all these, sort of big corporate models that are obviously interesting because they're doing stuff that before nobody could do. But I really don't think that's where the key of AI lives. Okay, there's a vested interest there. I mean, Google wants its stock to go up. OpenAI wants to turn for-profit and non-profit. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of interest behind hyping all the, NVIDIA wants their stock price to go up because the more AI platforms that do more stuff, the better they are. So sure, that's where the hype is because they've got the resources to make that happen. But the innovation and the application of AI, the real potential is when we start solving real problems for real businesses, for real people in the real world.
How do we do that?
Well, from an entrepreneurial point of view, you sit down and you say, how can I make my business better? How can I make it more efficient? How can I make it where it generates more revenue? How can I help my customers better by incorporating AI into what I already do well? And that is the key. That is the key to actually solving problems. And when you solve problems, that's where the money is. That's where the success is.
Do you think, I see a lot of applications doing that these days, right? Where they have an existing application and they just try to connect it to ChatGPT or OpenAI's thingy and stuff like that, but they don't really do anything. They don't really solve a problem for people.
I think that's because we're still just starting to wrap our heads around how all this fits together.
And let's face it, it's also very salesy, or it's very gimmicky today, right?
Yeah.
It does help in conversions to say, hey, I have AI in my app.
Sure, yeah. You're riding the wave, right? You're
riding the wave, exactly.
But when you sit down and you say, okay, what are the parts of my business that that have to be done, that are kind of monotonous, that nobody really enjoys doing, but that if I were able to do them much faster and much better, I would have a competitive advantage. And when you do that, and you think about it from that point of view, that's when you can start saying, oh, I can use AI there. And that really makes a difference. Because in the end, having a better chatbot or having a better content writer, those are kind of the alpha versions of what people are thinking about AI right now. And hey, they play a part and they do stuff and it's interesting. But when you can actually, build a budgeting app that reconciles with your bank account automatically and categorizes all of your expenses for you, hey, maybe that's even more important. Or when you can take another, any other business app and just give it a boost that really makes it more useful for the user, that's where you get real innovation. And that's where the opportunity is for smaller teams to build really cool stuff.
It sounds difficult, though.
Business isn't easy. Come on, yeah, sure. It's easier to take a chat GPT and plug in some data and say, hey, I've got a better chatbot for XYZ.
Right.
Sure, and hey, more power to you, that's great. I'm not saying that's not a good idea, but that isn't innovation.
So let's tell people about how we do things here at Ratio. Let's tell them about our magic formula. I'll give you the microphone.
Okay, well, here, first of all, we are certified Bubble developers. We believe in the Bubble ecosystem. Bubble is the world's leading no-code platform, and it is, in my opinion, the leader of the quest to democratize application development. The ability for anybody to be able to take a great idea, and turn it into a functional, stable, sustainable application. And that in itself is amazingly powerful.
And it's why we started building with
Sure.
Bubble.
And that's what we've been doing, yeah.
We really saw the magic and the beauty behind it. But now that we have AI, we've boosted it up like times a million.
Right. So when we started this journey, you remember the beginning of our using Bubble was because we wanted to incorporate Web3 into applications where we couldn't find reasonably priced blockchain developers.
Correct.
And we solved that. And that's what's in our Web3 framework that's on the website and people can see it. And so it was only natural for us when we sat down and saw the AI tsunami coming that we said, well, if we can do Web3, why don't we do AI? Because the same principles apply. The same principles apply about wanting to solve real problems without having to understand and invest in solving all of the plumbing issues, the underlying tech stuff. Because in the end, a business owner, a founder, doesn't really care about understanding the intricacies of the blockchain or understanding the intricacies of building an LLM or an AI model. All they want to do is they want to be able to apply this to solve problems for their customers. And that's why I wrote the book about AI no-code wizardry.
Good book.
Thank you. Thank you. Glad you enjoyed it. By the way, it's on Amazon. Anybody want to grab a copy? And that's why we built our AI framework, was because those same founders that wanted, 3 years ago to build a Web3 application or just to build a Bubble application, now they're coming and they're saying, but how do I put AI into it in a reasonable way that allows me to actually do it productively?
You actually go very, very much in depth in the book about how we do this at Ratio. Just to keep it nice and short, do you want to just give people a teaser on how we're using relevance?
Sure. So when I started off talking about sustainable applications that can grow, that can pivot, that can be maintained, that also applies to the AI part. There are innumerable models out there. You can use Gemini, you can use Claude, you can use open, ChatGPT, you can use tools for video, tools for images, tools for scraping the web. There's so many different possibilities out there. And they're changing, and they change every day. And just to keep up with that is a nightmare. And so that's one of the reasons why a middleware platform like Relevance AI, which by the way is a great platform, when combined with Bubble, makes a superpower for application developers, because you can abstract away a lot of the complications. Bubble connects well with just about anything, but it connects really well with Relevance AI as well. And you can kind of isolate yourself from the plumbing issues that a lot of times come up with AI applications. So I'm talking about how do you format the responses? What happens when the models change? What happens if you want to change models? What if you built your whole application using ChatGPT and you suddenly realize that you were better off using, Claude or using Gemini or using whatever else is going to come out
in 2 years?
No,
or in 2 months, 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, yeah.
And you want to make that switch. Well, you can do that in Relevance. You could just go in and switch the model, and your whole structure isn't changed, and you don't have to redo your application.
Should Bubble developers out there that may be wondering, hey, how do I start incorporating AI into my applications, be scared of am I going to have to change a lot of what I've already built in my app to be able to incorporate, for example, things that we're doing with relevance? Do you need to modify your existing application today a lot to be able to integrate in our framework, for example?
No, it's really not. You can, one of the cool things in Relevance AI is building tools. So tools are, consider them AI functions that you say, I want a tool that will create an awesome thumbnail for my blog post. And I'm going to pass it the title of the blog post. I'm going to pass it, a prompt saying, hey, I want an awesome thumbnail about a green Shrek-like monster, swallowing a wicked witch of the East. Whatever you want to do, and you want to put this tool into your application. Well, you would create the tool in Relevance. You would create the parameters and of the inputs and the outputs, and set up the prompting and all of that. And then you just integrate it with the Bubble API connector, and boom, you can take the input fields from Bubble, send them off to your tool, get the response back, and put the image into your blog post.
You're making it sound easy, but it really is a little bit more tricky.
Like everything in the world.
Like everything in the world. So let me ask you, we committed to not using anything that isn't Bubble. Because, obviously we have a whole lot of experience using Bubble. We've been building applications for many years now using Bubble. Tell people, why don't we help other people that want to integrate AI into other stuff that's not Bubble?
There's a lot of good platforms out there. I just like to help people with what I know how to do best. So, if you want to build a full stack application using Relevance as the back end, you'll find a better partner for that. That's fine. You don't have to come to Ratio for that. I'll tell you this, we'll build the app in Bubble in a third of the time and a third of the budget, and you'll be happier, and it will scale, and it will be robust and sustainable. But that's up to you. It's a technology decision that other people will make.
And because I know there's going to be people watching, well, yeah, but you guys are using no-code platforms. There is a real advantage to using Bubble compared to just having, just trying to code your way through AI.
Oh, definitely. And, hey, there are also people out there who will say, well, why do you need a platform in the middle? Just connect Bubble to ChatGPT or to Claude or whatever. And you can do that. But like I said, you're going to have issues down the road as those models change and as those interfaces change. You're going to have to keep that up and maintain it. Whereas this way you can isolate yourself from that. There are a lot of people out there with a vested interest in not liking no-code tools. And most of them are called developers.
Why is that?
Well, why do you think? I mean, if you're used to charging, $100 an hour for a project and taking 1,000 hours, and somebody comes along and says, well, I'll charge you $100 an hour and I'll do it in 300 hours. Well, you might feel threatened.
Yeah.
And hey, this has happened. This is the history of tech. Okay,
I'm an old.
But I'm an old man now. Okay, I've been down this road a long time. I've seen technologies come and go, and I'm not saying Bubble is the answer for all eternity, because it probably isn't. Something better will come along. But right now, for anybody who just wants to take a great idea that knows their market, that knows the people that are having the problem, and build something that solves the problem and turn that into wealth, they should be using Bubble. There's no doubt about it.
How long does it take usually to build an AI application on Bubble?
Well, if you go by my book, okay, you will have access to an AI tool that we built using Bubble and Relevance AI that will give you an exact 37-day plan. And in the book, I explain how you can go from idea to launched product in 37 days.
37 days to have a full-built AI app?
And have it actually, and the AI part and the Bubble part.
Right.
Starting with our framework and having all of the pieces that people a lot of times forget about, okay? Because an app isn't just the core functionality. There's more to it. And you have to solve all the other pieces as well. Otherwise, it'll fall apart. Otherwise, you won't make money. So it's not just about building the AI tool and hooking it up to a decent user interface.
I think it's important for us to clarify the difference between a framework and a template, because I do see a lot of people confusing these two terms.
Okay, well, let me start off. Templates, down. Frameworks, up. Okay, having said that, why? Okay, a template is almost always just a shortcut to solving some sort of a problem. So you want to build a Airbnb for horses.
And there's a bunch of Bubble templates for Airbnb-like applications.
Exactly. And you buy one and you install it and boom, you have a starting point of functionality for your Airbnb for horses. But you don't have all the rest. Okay, and when I say all the rest, you probably don't have a good admin portal for managing your users and all of that. You don't have a good system for messaging your users between there. You don't have a lot of the, probably you don't have a good blogging functionality. You don't have a lot of the pieces that are necessary for a successful app to work. And you also have, pardon my language, a shitty solution for your Airbnb part, because it's probably based off of what Airbnb looked like 2 years ago. And it's not a production application. They put together sort of the rough idea and then they say, here you go, here's your template and run with it. And so in the end, you end up with a not so great solution for the exact business problem you're solving, plus missing a whole bunch of the legs of the table. And you kind of end up with a mess. And you end up spending money to fix the core functionality, and you spend money to fix all the other pieces that you don't have. And you're probably launching off of a database structure that hasn't really been thought through well for you. And in the end, it just doesn't produce a quality application.
How does a framework solve?
So the framework is different. A framework gives you the foundation. It gives you the other pieces of the puzzle, and it doesn't give you the core functionality. That's not its purpose. Its purpose is to give you a solid structure that you can build your application on top of. So for example, our AI framework already comes pre-built with the ability to communicate with Relevance AI. It comes with a blogging functionality. It comes with a messaging functionality. It comes with other stuff.
But you're not trying to solve that particular problem that people are.
And then you can take that core framework and build exactly what your users need to solve their problem. And in 37 days, you'll be in the market with a quality, well-structured Bubble application that you can be proud of.
Nice. I think I want to wrap it up just by tying this whole conversation together by asking you this. I remember telling you probably 5 or 6 years ago, and you and I had many discussions about this. Not every goddamn application needs blockchain functionality. Would you say this is the truth today, where not every goddamn application needs some sort of AI functionality?
Of course not. Yeah, of course not. There are uses for AI where it's really great, and other applications don't need it.
It's just gimmick.
Yeah, it's just a gimmick. So we're not here to propose that people build gimmicks.
Right.
But I will tell you that there are use cases for creating AI tools that might help you rank your applications in the search engines, that might be really great lead magnets for your possible users of your application. And those could be really useful even if your application doesn't use AI at all. So it's a question of opening your brain and thinking about where does it make sense. And by the way, there's a place for Web3 in there as well, and we can help you with that as well if they want.
I think I'm happy with today's conversation. Let's do more of these, man. I think people are gonna like them.
Okay, well, my next book's coming out soon, and I'm not going to tell you about it yet. But and we've got secret projects also in the lab that are coming out.
This first book that you put out on building AI applications with Bubble is really neat. But I think that people are going to freak out when they read about your next book.
I'm hoping so.
It's probably the biggest problem that Bubble applications have today, and that no one, not even Bubble, has been able to fix yet. And we're about to fix it.
That's right. So stay tuned. Stay tuned. It was a lot of fun today, Tony. Yeah, we'll do this frequently.
Yeah.